Bing bong.
Now, for a long time, I was not a fan of horror movies. When I saw a movie, I wanted to be able to get a full night's rest after I watched the film. And horror movies, sometimes, they just don't really like to let you sleep. But I've come a long way. I thank Jordan Peele for a lot of that. I really got into his films. I thank Wes Craven because the Scream movies are absolutely phenomenal. Quick sidebar, go watch them if you have not seen them yet. M3gan is one of those movies that I am so glad I got over my fear or my assumptions about horror movies, because this movie is one of the most fun films that I have seen in a really long time. One of the reasons I like a movie like M3gan so much is that, honestly, to me, it feels like this movie is as shallow or as deep as you want it to be. If you want to take this film as exactly what it presents on the surface, a girl who becomes best friends with a psycho killer doll, great. That's what you're gonna get from the movie over the course of 90 minutes. But beneath the surface, this movie is doing a lot of really interesting things. There are themes of how characters deal with grief and death and depression, and there is a lot going on behind the scenes in this film. Some of it they tell you, some of it they don't. They leave it up to interpretation, they leave it up to the audience to sort of figure out what is going on in these characters' minds. But I like movies like that. I love it when films basically present you just, here's the story, and then they allow you to sort of take little bits and pieces and hints and build a bigger picture out of what they presented to you. One of the things I did here is that M3gan was originally supposed to be rated R, which, when you see the movie, definitely makes sense. There are some moments in this film that you can tell they probably had to turn the violence down just a smidge so that more people could see it. I did want to say, sometimes in certain films, taking it from R, putting it in PG-13, like Deadpool, is a terrible idea, and it will ruin the actual film itself. I don't really think that the changing of the rating messes with this movie at all. I honestly think it still works pretty much exactly the same as it would have, because I think a lot of the things that they toned down were mostly just from a gore perspective and doesn't really add much to the story. Like, the entire story is fully intact, and the movie changing from R to PG-13 was not affected at all by that. Now, I did mention this is a horror comedy, and I wanted to talk about the comedy aspect of this film because, for the most part, the jokes are fantastic. Like, the comedy segments in this movie, whether they are like really kind of like dopey, silly, intended to be funny, or just like more dark comedy moments of like, if you look a little bit beyond the surface, there's like something kind of darkly funny in a scene. I love that kind of stuff. I think this movie did so well making sure that it kept that balance of humor and terror, like being absolutely terrified of this like killer psycho robot that was just like seemed really friendly but then was also murdering people. That can sometimes be a tough balance to find, but really M3gan hit that balance perfectly. And honestly, I'm a little bit surprised, because usually in January when movies are coming out, they are movies that are like usually instant skips. Like, January is where all these companies are dumping their non-Oscar films so that they don't have to worry about like promoting them and like they get the tax write-off or whatever when the movie tanks. But M3gan, if anything, this feels sort of like a Get Out situation, where it's like the movie was on a super low budget. They weren't really sure how it was gonna work out in terms of box office, and then it comes out, gets great reviews. I thought it was an absolute blast, and it makes me wish that it had come out when, just more people would probably go see it. If you're watching this review, I highly, highly recommend M3gan. I had so much fun watching this movie. Do not be scared off. If you're like I used to be, and you see horror genre, and you just like turn away, no, this is worth it. Absolutely check out M3gan. This is a highlight of 2023, and the year just started, and they're already dropping bangers like this. I'm getting excited. I'm getting excited for movies in 2023, and that makes me happy.